4. Identification of the item of supply. In the NCS, the expression item of supply designates an item of production or group of items of production which has been defined by a qualified logistics service to meet a specific requirement. The exact determination of an item of supply depends on technical and logistic considerations on the basis of which the user specifies the characteristics and tolerances of his concept in the broadest possible terms compatible with his own essential needs. The task of the codifier will be to name the item, include the specifications and tolerances defined by the user in the broadest possible terms. Exception: choosing a narrow tolerance and/or specific or finer quality features are demanded for safety or security reasons will lead to a restricted, narrow concept of item identification. Choose the NATO supply class based on the group and class list. Cataloging to items likely to be subject to repetitive procurement, storage, supply, and delivery, as well as to items whose importance justifies centralized stock management. The establishment of reports or a control made by the authority. Logistics experts are the sole judges to determine what items must be codified, based on their management needs. The need and the necessity to codify an item of supply comes either from the user concerned in the supply chain, from a list of spare parts based on the acquisition of equipment, or an end item. Other data will be associated with the NSN. The reference to other items of production, that means commercial items that are functionally interchangeable or substitutable each others for same usage and provide a comparable use. Note, we will see later that reference of item of production is actually the combination of a company code and a reference number. Here is an example of an approved item name delimited with all the required precision level to describe the item of supply. The item name, in the NCS language, means the name of the item or the key word or the designation. Here's an example of a NATO supply class. Here is the description of the item of supply based on a questionnaire called IIG. Some questionnaires are used to present the characteristics directly with a drawing or an illustration. A reference number block made of a data set combining the reference number identified by its NATO commercial and government entity code and the related codes indicating the nature and origin of the reference number. They have a great importance for the identification as they could influence the choice of the item of production. We also have other information associated with the NSN, such as the Harmonized Customs Codes, the internationally recognized HS numbers, the Schedule B numbers used by the U.S. government to manage U.S. exports. Exporters need to know the HS and Schedule B numbers of the productions to determine the custom taxes rates, fill out export declarations, certificates of origin, and other shipping documents. The CPV establishes a single classification system designed by the EEC for public procurement aimed at standardizing the references used by contracting authorities and entities to describe the subject of procurement contracts. The CPV consists of a main vocabulary for defining the subject of a contract and a supplementary vocabulary for adding further qualitative information. The main vocabulary is based on a tree structure comprising codes of up to 9 digits associated with a wording that describes the type of supplies, works, or services forming the subject of the contract. This classification facilitates the access to public contracts to companies to tag their own potential tenders. I shall conclude with the user's data, which contains the country or countries that are likely to use the item in their supply chain. This information provides useful indication for possible collaboration and mutual support between nations engaged in the same theater of operations. The countries listed as users of the item will automatically receive updates whenever a change in the data occurs. It will also be consulted for its opinion before the cancellation of some NSNs. hence the importance of this data.